Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is me, Bella, again. Right now it is 4:30. We only have 30 minutes until I have to go to church for mass. Might get this uploaded in about 30 minutes or so. And okay, I feel like I kind of broke the fourth wall right there. Normally, I wouldn't record videos in the afternoon because I usually don't like recording videos in the afternoon. But I will make an exception to this because 24 hours ago, I was supposed to react to the Nitti Family. However, it turned out I had received something because unfortunately, it seemed like my stream had to be removed due to the fact that there was something stupid going on, but I didn't really quite get what was, but I didn't really quite get, but I just didn't really quite get why I had to be, why the video had to be like taken down, because it's not like I was showing anything stupid, because I wasn't. All I was doing was that I was just trying to watch an episode by myself, but at least I basically told YouTube about it, and YouTube, they still took the video down, and the content they saw was less severe than they originally thought, because maybe they did agree that there was nothing stupid on there, but I guess I kind of learned a lesson. I mean, almost all my videos are copyrighted, but I never even received a copyright strike because literally the songs I use in the videos, basically its owners allow their songs to be used in other videos. So I guess if other users can get away with using the original artist's songs in their videos, maybe I should also get away with it too, except that I have to actually give credit to the original owners. Could probably like maybe sing a song, or maybe probably won't. But I guess we're just gonna have a talk here. So yesterday I tried to react to the Nitti Family, but I couldn't. But I did in fact react to the Nitti Family by myself this afternoon. So I guess we're just gonna go ahead and do like a bit of a recap. So this all started back in August 2006 when Lisa called Joe for help because her 4 boys would act up all the time. And of course, I did not mention till now that since I may not be able to screen share, I mean, I should be able to like screen share something, but I guess when it comes to me filming videos, and since I want to of course show my face, because all I'm doing is doing recaps, because when I do recaps of course I have to show my face. I mean, I can also try to show other things as well. I mean I'll still post the wiki page in the description, and because I am using the iPad at the same time, I bet that can explain why I'm looking down. I could have told you guys minutes ago, but anyways, let's go ahead and what happened in this episode. So this was Season 3 of Supernanny, Episode 8, and this aired February 5th, 2007. So I guess this aired on John's birthday, John Nitty's birthday. And they're from West Melbourne, Florida. So, of course, Joe visits the Nitti family in Florida where Lisa lives, where Lisa and John, both of them had only been together for 2 years, and Lisa had 4 boys before meeting John. So, of course, at the time, 10-year-old Darren was a bully to his brothers. 8-year-old Matthew was the drama king. 5-year-old Jared was the mommy's boy since he's the youngest, but he always also copied his brother's bad behavior. And of course, 6-year-old Devin is pretty much an angry kid since he's also a dictator too. And of course, with Lisa and John, they both get aggressive and get in their children's faces. And of course, all 4 of the boys are aggressive towards one another. And John, of course, manages to get the boys to listen to him just by yelling at them. But anyway, so also at the same time, well, I may have seen a TikTok of John's daughter. John's daughter's TikTok has also other behind the scenes footage. Her daughter's TikTok is also available on the wiki page, and she also does so, I guess, before Joe even came to film at the Nitti house. So just like we said, so basically in the submission reel, Lisa was only 28 at the time and John was 44, so I guess that's a 16-year age gap. Like, it's like an 18-year-old dating a 2-year-old. But okay, I guess I'm being sarcastic. And of course, the Nitti family home is known as the crazy house. But anyways, so like we said, Darren was a bully to his brothers. Matthew was a drama king. Jared is the youngest and is a mommy's boy. And Devin's moods control his household. But before filming took place, it has also been said too that John was an alcoholic, and since he had been a drinker before, maybe it was obvious that Lisa was a bartender, and I guess that was the day they got together. And also at the bar, and John basically got a call from one of his bartender friends, and they said that they had Supernanny show up at the bar before coming to film. And because Joe allegedly had rum or alcohol, when, of course, in the observation, when Joe arrives, John may have opened the door. And of course, because he was a recovering alcoholic, and since he may have been sober back then, he, of course, confronted Joe, all because he smelled alcohol in her breath, telling her to not come back to the house smelling like the way she did. So, of course, while Joe tried to get cleaned, the producers maybe instead came into the house, and they also told the boys So even though the boys may have been well behaved, I mean, it seemed like they were well behaved off camera, or maybe over time, or maybe when those boys were little, I guess the boys kind of did misbehave, and the producers told them to misbehave worse than they originally did because if the boys wanted to get on TV, of course they had to misbehave badly. And I guess the show says it all. But anyways, so with that and the observation, when Joe arrives to the Nitti house, and Lisa opens the door and introduces Joe to Darren, Matthew, and Jared. So Darren was in bed. Matthew and Jared were playing on a GameCube. And when Joe meets Devin, he was pretty much in timeout, and it was unknown why Devin was in timeout. And then when the observation begins, John leaves for work and Lisa and Devin had an argument. So maybe it's obvious that Devin got sent to timeout, probably because he hit one of his brothers with his sword. And of course, when Lisa and Devin were having an argument, Lisa was holding Devin down, and of course Devin would bite, spit in Mom's face, and of course Darren just stood there and watched. Devin could have been sent to the corner again, but instead, so I guess after Devin had calmed down, he could have been sent to the corner, but Lisa ended up giving him back the sword. And Devin was also warned that if he hit anyone with his sword again, he would get it taken away for the remainder of that day. And then as the morning went on, Joe got to see exactly how the boys treated one another. And I guess that was what we saw. All the boys hitting each other, and a scene where Matthew slaps Devin in the face. And then after lunchtime, one small incident turned into a huge crisis for Lisa, probably because Matthew, and I guess it was because Matthew started to act out, and I guess he was being hyperactive, and I guess Joe notices that Lisa would let her boys walk around her, and then in the next minute she gets aggressive in their faces. And then of course all the boys then get sent to timeout, except Jared, because for Darren, he first threw a ball at Matthew. Devin then would get sent to the corner, all for hitting Matthew with his sword, and I guess it was unknown what happened to Devin's sword, but I guess his sword should have been confiscated the remainder of the day. And of course, strangest of all, however, Matthew would be sent to timeout, all because he wanted mustard. But I guess Lisa just sent him to the corner because he didn't know how to behave properly. And when Matthew ends up in the naughty corner, Darren sneaks him some chicken nuggets. And because Matthew, of course, he just wouldn't stay still. So of course, And Lisa tries to send him to his room, but after failing, she then ends up calling John. And then later that day, Lisa had errands to run, but trying to get her boys out of the house would be a disaster because all the boys refused to listen. And when Devin refused to put his seatbelt on, Lisa tosses his sword in the trash. And then once Devin was ready, all the boys, and then as soon as Devin was ready, he ends up leaving the house, but I guess he still had a fight, but he still fought with his mom. But then when Lisa finally begins driving, the boys acted out even more. And of course, Lisa and the boys end up going home. And then I guess they didn't do what they had to do. So after sending all the boys to their rooms, John comes home. And of course, when John hears how disrespectful the boys have been, he basically barks out orders at them just to get them to behave properly. And so that's how the observation gets, and I guess that's how the observation ends. And we can't forget there's a scene where Darren pours water on the floor just so he can slide on it, but then he gets caught and John tells him to clean up. And here at the parent meeting, Joe gets straight to the point of that and declares all the boys punched the living daylights out of themselves. And for Lisa, she believes that Darren's behavior started when he was a baby, but didn't believe Darren had much anger issues. But I guess Lisa was wrong because Joe was shocked and John laughs. And she knows that the behavior needs to stop. Joe agreed on why she showed up to the house in the first place. And so with Lisa, I guess her anger gets to a point where she just can't take it, and before making her boys do something, I guess her blood gets boiling, leading to her yelling. And I guess the times where John and Lisa discipline is comparable to war, because Joe brought up the fact that Lisa was putting Devin in a headlock, and John thought Joe was beating Lisa up about it, but I guess not. But I guess, and Joe never said she was beating Lisa up about it, and Joe stated that even though the corner is good, it's only used for anger. And I guess John admitted he felt guilty. He's tried things in the past, but all of them failed. And maybe this was either in one of the meetings, because John may have been aggressive, and I guess his aggressiveness or his behavior was probably because he's raised 6 kids before meeting Lisa, before asking Joe if she was a mother herself. But then when we get to the teaching, Joe, of course, first arrives to the house to set up the house rules, and after laying down the rules, Devin then became aggressive. He ended up kicking Lisa, and so Devin gets sent to the corner and would stay there for 6 minutes. And of course, for the last 2 hours, Devin would get angry, and of course Lisa had to discipline Devin by herself, but I guess Devin was just having none of it. He just got so angry to the point where he destroys the entire house. And there was also a deleted scene that while Lisa was trying to discipline Devin, it was also said that in the Parenting Tools podcast, yes, I've seen the Parenting Tools podcast video, that link will also be in the description below, but it had been said in the Parenting Tools podcast that when Joe was trying that during Teach Day, John, of course, did not like the fact that he couldn't step in to discipline Devin. So he went far to grab Joe by the throat and to push her up against a wall. And of course, he just beated up Joe about it, saying telling Joe, confronting her, to not teach John, to not teach him how to properly parent, or something like that. But then when Devin finally stays put in the corner, I guess after he calmed down, he cleans up his mess he made and he apologized. And of course, John apologized to Joe and admitted what he did was wrong. And then when teaching continues and Joe knows how angry the boys can get, so she brings in the chill out zone. And once again, Devin gets aggressive, and Lisa tells him to go to the chill out zone. And so Devin is seen drawing on a whiteboard until he had calmed down. And then we got the easy riders technique, because since car rides can be a disaster, she introduces a reward chart for all 4 of the boys. And Lisa tells them that each sticker is 5 points, and then there are many rewards, because for 25 points, the boys would have playtime. If they got 35 points, they could stay up 20 minutes past their bedtime on the weekends, and their 50 points would be for a sleepover. And then we get a countdown of how much time would be left. And then when the 10 minutes are up, the family ends up leaving. Boys started to kick off, but Lisa reminded them to behave themselves, and so they behaved their entire car journey, and they earned their stickers. And then in the last part, Joe goes to Darren's football practice, and Darren behaves differently at football than at home. And his coach, and of course with Darren's coach, he uses a strict and firm but fair tone with Darren and his teammates. And I guess I won't really go in much detail about football. Like, maybe a football fan, but I'm not really a big football fan. But anyways, we are on to the DVD meeting now. So when Joe leaves for 4 days, she shows us all the clips. So first clip is where Lisa does the Easy Riders technique perfectly. And when family returns home, she asks the boys if they thought they deserved a sticker, in which they did. And then in the second clip, we can see Matthew having a meltdown where he threw items, screamed at Jared, and violently threw him to the floor. Lisa simply could have just put Matthew in the chill out zone, but Lisa just didn't know. But I guess Joe reminded her Lisa had the power to diffuse the anger. And when Lisa sends Matthew to the corner, he would escape through papers on the floor. And Lisa gave him a warning that he would lose playtime. And when Matthew throws a fan throws a towel to the ceiling fan, he lost all his playtime. And then later he apologizes to his mother, cleans up his mess he made. And then in the fourth clip, John gets angry when putting Devin in the naughty corner. And Devin, of course, was being honest, saying that he was spat on by one of his brothers. John told him he could have simply told on one of his brothers. And of course, it was quite shocking because Devin, he would escape. John would put him back. And of course, he held Devin down in the corner and just gave him scary eye contact. Lisa, of course, may have reminded John to remember Joe's techniques. But I guess because John had an NDA, he did not agree with Joe's parenting techniques at all. And Joe, of course, was shocked, and she was disappointed, to say the least. And I guess if John would continue going back to his old ways, he would go back to square one. And then in the reinforcement, Joe wants to bring back the brotherly love in the household. So after Darren's football practice, Darren teaches his brothers some things he did at football. And there would be an obstacle course. And because John may also be a Sour Patch, because according to John's daughter, John may be sour on the inside, but he's sweet on the inside. So he demonstrated a gentle, encouraging, and quiet tone while walking through his stepsons through building a birdhouse. And then the entire family saw another side to one another, enjoyed every moment, and of course, Joe's work with the Nitti family has finished. But anyway, guys, I feel like I might have spent these last 30 minutes talking about the Nitti family. But anyway, I guess that was just a recap. I wish we could talk about the events post-episode, but I guess I'll have to get to that later because turns out we're supposed to have mass. But with that said, I'll do a part 2 later on. So be sure you guys like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. And part 2 will be coming soon. So goodbye for now.